The climax that we are entering for the final arc for Black Clover is going to be huge. We're going to see Austin and everyone else in the biggest battles yet. And from what we saw, how every captain and every character was fighting Lucifero only halfway manifested, we know that there are devils that are going to come in the story that is much stronger than a halfway manifested Lucifero. It is evident that the characters must become stronger for this devil saga that we are entering in. Even though we know that Asta was strong enough to take out Lucifero when he gained a new horn, perfecting his Devil Union mode, the form still has its limitations. Asta still needed help completely defeating Lucifero only when he was halfway manifested, which means that just relying on Asta can only get the character so far. Everyone has a role to play and they need to become stronger, and we are here to talk about that, and today we are here to start with Yami. Because Yami's power had a huge increase in this arc that we have seen, something is going on with his body, and what role will he play for this final arc in Black Clover? A lot of points that we need to go over, but I would appreciate if you guys point your finger to that subscribe button with notification bells on and leave a like on this video. I appreciate it so much. Now, our first time noticing this change within Yami's body was in chapter 323, when Gray compared Yami's body to that of a devil, more in particular the devil that possessed Asta, and that his magic power, his mana, is increasing. Now, in the past, I did make a video discussing that Yami is becoming a devil host or a perfect vessel for Lucifuges, because I believe that Lucifuges' magic type could be the origin of all dark magic itself. Now, in the manga, it's easily for us to dissect that it has to be dark magic because visually it looks like dark magic because we saw the black dust just killing everyone. So from that, we know that Lucifuges' powers have to deal with some sort of darkness. However, in that previous video, I did break down the demonology aspect of Lucifuges that is connected to dark magic. And if you missed that video, I will briefly mention it here. Now, throughout history, there is a real-life book that is called the Grand Grimoire, and it is a black magic grimoire. The Grand Grimoire, which another word for is the Red Dragon, is a book that contains instructions purported to summon Lucifer or Lucifuge Rofakel for the purpose of forming a deal with a devil. Lucifuge Rofakel in demonology is also a direct reference to Lucifuges in Black Clover, him being connected to black magic, which is another way of saying dark magic, being summoned by the power of black magic, and also in the story of Black Clover, him having some sort of darkness power is not a coincidence.
Coincidence? I think not!
And then prior to these events, with Yami already having some sort of connection to the underworld, seeing how dark magic can interfere with it, Yami being arcane and also his source of power being the catalyst to open up the gates to the underworld, to summon all the devils, it goes back to demonology that black magic is the catalyst to also open up and summon devils as well. So I think it's very obvious to me that Lucifuges has to have some sort of darkness power, even if it's not exactly dark magic. Just like how Megicula is the originator of cursed magic and every variant of cursed magic comes directly from her, and just like how we found out recently that Julia's time magic comes from the devil Astaroth of time. This leads me to believe that Yami's dark magic clearly has to be somewhat connected to Lucifuges in some way or some fashion. And if this is indeed true, this makes Yami's relationship that he has with Nacht and Morgan very emotional. Yami and Nacht have a relationship that cannot be replaced by anyone because they were childhood friends, and also on top of the fact that they are so similar with their magic types. Yami having dark magic and also Nacht having shadow magic. These are dark variant magic types that are very similar. So it makes sense why these two were able to click because they can relate to one another. Yami and Nacht were outcasts and really didn't fit in with anyone else, which was mainly because of their magic types. But Yami also had a great relationship with Nacht's twin brother Morgan. Unlike Yami's relationship with Nacht, these two were complete opposite. Morgan had light magic, where Yami had dark magic, but I think that's why they were able to connect with one another. So with Yami being great friends with Nacht and Morgan, it completed the trio, almost like Yami was the third brother they never had. So this bond is tight that they have. It couldn't be broken, but in reality, what we saw in the flashback, things started to change because of Nacht's ambitions to gain devil power. The excitement and temptation overjoyed him with malice when he figured out that he can summon Lucifuges, a supreme ranked devil, even though he already had 4 mid-ranks. Morgan tried to stop Nacht by summoning Lucifuges, but Nacht was extremely greedy, and upon summoning Lucifuges, his magic presence was so powerful to the point where it killed everyone within that room, which also led to the death of his brother when Morgan tried to prevent everything from happening, and Nacht blamed himself for this so bad to the point where he disregards his life. However, the conclusion of this arc, we started to see that change. He now has something to live for, which he states at the end of chapter 330 that with the Black Bulls he will learn to live properly this time, with all of them. And fighting alongside Yami was another reminder because Yami still viewed Nacht as a friend. Morgan's death tarnished Yami and Nacht relationship to the point where they could not really communicate, but now everything is starting to change, and we know that Lucifuges is still out there. So this crazy big fight, this insane showdown between Yami and Nacht versus Lucifuges is inevitable. But with Yami's dark magic being the origin of Lucifuges, his original dark magic, that same power that was originated from taking the life of Morgan, and with Yami and Nacht both finding out that information in that fight, this makes the revenge of taking down Lucifuges even sweeter. Because this is going to motivate Yami and Nacht even further to use the power that took their brother away to destroy the origin of it, which is Lucifuges. We already know that Yami's and Nacht's magic is quite similar, so it would be pretty crazy to find out that if Nacht's magic, his shadow magic, is also another variant of the darkness powers that comes from Lucifuges as well. Because we found out in chapter 271 that Nacht's shadow magic is his own. His devil's powers are characteristics that add to his shadow magic. The battle with Nacht and Yami versus Lucifuges is already massively important, but it adds even more significance that both their powers comes from the devil that took away their brother. Now, of course, this battle has to take place this final arc, but Yami, he's not strong enough, and Nacht is also not strong enough to take on Lucifuges' full power. But we will save Nacht's power-up discussion for a different video, because we are here to talk about Yami. Because we already know that when they tried to stop Lucifero, it did not go to plan. And I think it's fair to say that this Lucifero is going to be weaker than a full manifested Lucifuges. But with Yami's body going through a change with this metamorphosis of becoming a devil itself, he has the potential to reach the high tier levels to that of a supreme rank devil. Because his heart is starting to change to that of a devil heart. And we saw how strong Xenon was when he gained Beelzebub's heart, so we know gaining a devil's heart is a huge increase. We even see that Adrammelech, his entire plan was to wait till Lucifero was defeated so he can steal his heart, just so he can give it to Lucius. Whatever they're planning to do with it is for a whole different video, but that just highlights the significance of a devil's heart. In chapter 334, we saw that Yami was getting stronger. He states that I don't get it, but I'm flooded with power. Yami doesn't quite understand what's going on, but he is channeling negative mana to his benefit. We saw this with Licht when he was channeling so much negative mana, but eventually it turned him to an ancient demon with the help of the magic stones as well. But of course, I do not see Yami becoming an ancient demon. I don't think that's going to be the case. In the past, I theorized that Yami is going to become a perfect host for a devil, becoming a perfect vessel for Lucifuges, but I think truly deep down that Yami is going to gain his own transformation, something that is very similar to Xenon, but different because he's not using a devil's heart that already exists. Yami is becoming a devil of his own, which means that Yami will be able to use the full power of dark magic without any limitations or needed the gates of the underworld to be open. He can use his raw power because this will be his raw power, which means the properties to his dark magic can change into devil dark magic. And with this added boost of power for the final arc, Yami could tap into a creation state of power where he starts to use dark creation magic, a magic fundamental that Yami has never performed within this series, and I think that that's going to be unlocked in this arc. So of course, with this final arc, a lot of things is going to be riding on Asa's anti-magic, and Yami among the many characters are going to need to step up their power. But you guys comment below and let me know what you think. Do you see a devil transformation from Yami in the near future? You guys have an awesome life, take care of yourselves, stay blessed, and I catch you guys in the next one.